Can India's Tejas MK2 fighter jet, this highly anticipated ultimate upgrade variant, truly surpass Pakistan's JF-17 Thunder, and even compete with mature 3.5 generation fighters like China's J-10C, as Indian media enthusiastically envisions? The answer to this question is likely far more complex than what emerges from a lively symposium, or a few impassioned reports. When we shift our gaze from the celebratory podium marking Tejas' 25th anniversary, and delve into its protracted development journey, its reliance on foreign technology foundations, and its uncertain upgrade plans, we find this path toward rivaling top-tier fighters remains strewn with thorns and question marks. On January the 4th, India's Defense Research and Development Organization held a high-profile symposium titled Tejas 25 to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the maiden flight of its indigenous light fighter jet. This event served not only as a retrospective, but also as a significant declaration of future ambitions. Dr. Kamath, head of the Defense Research and Development Organization, revealed that the highly anticipated Tejas MK2 fighter is scheduled for its maiden flight this June, calling it the project's final iteration that will deliver a leap in combat capability. This announcement instantly ignited Indian media, which painted a picture of the MK2 effortlessly outclassing Pakistan's JF-17 Block 3 with its added canards and more powerful F414 engine, while also being capable of competing with China's J-10C. However, the development of military equipment is never determined by simple aggregation of paper specifications, nor by wishful optimistic projections. It is deeply rooted in a nation's systemic industrial capabilities, rigorous engineering culture, and unwavering strategic resolve. To objectively assess the Tejas MK2's true prospects, we must first navigate its legendary past and present. The Tejas fighter's story began in 1983 with the Light Combat Aircraft program, originally intended to replace aging MiG-21s. Yet, from project initiation to the prototype's maiden flight, on January 4, 2001, a full 18 years were consumed. This protracted gestation period seemed to set an inescapable tone for the project delay. From that maiden flight to achieving initial operational capability, in July 2016 and commencing slow deliveries to units, another 15 years were squandered. To date, the Indian Air Force has received only 38 Tejas fighters, 6 trainer variants, 16 IOC-capable aircraft, and 16 full operational capability-capable aircraft. Even these Mk1 variants, touted as fully operational, have consistently drawn criticism from the Indian Air Force for their low operational readiness rates, mission reliability, and overall combat effectiveness, falling far short of the desired frontline standard. To address the numerous shortcomings of the base model, India introduced the Mk1 upgrade, primarily enhancing avionics and weapons compatibility to deliver a serviceable version. Yet, even this Mk1, intended as a transitional solution, has faced severe delivery delays. The initial batch of 11 aircraft was scheduled for delivery starting February 2022. Yet, due to delays in supplying the critical subsystem, the F404GE and 20 engines from General Electric, only a handful have been delivered recently, with some aircraft even lacking engines altogether. The weakness of the base model and the prolonged development of the upgraded variant have created an embarrassing reality for the Tejas family, providing crucial context for examining the more ambitious Mk2 program. It is against this backdrop that the Tejas Mk2 carries high expectations for usability and even capability. As planned, the Mk2's modifications represent a fundamental transformation. Its core upgrades focus on 2 key areas. First, the power plant is upgraded to the more powerful American GE F414 engine, increasing afterburner thrust to approximately 98 kilonewtons, a significant increase over the F404 used in the Mk1. Second, a fundamental aerodynamic redesign transformed the original tailless delta configuration by adding a pair of fully movable canards behind the intake, creating a canard delta layout. Additionally, the fuselage would be slightly lengthened, wing area potentially increased, and internal fuel and weapons capacity enhanced, with maximum takeoff weight projected to rise to 17.5 tons. Theoretically, the enhanced thrust combined with the vortex lift generated by the canards and optimized pitch control should significantly improve the aircraft's acceleration performance, climb rate, and instantaneous, steady-state turn capabilities, particularly its supersonic maneuverability. Judging solely by the parameter list, the Mk2 appears to be a formidable contender. However, this seemingly promising theoretical upgrade has sown enormous risks and challenges in engineering practice. First, the complexity and systemic nature of aerodynamic design have been severely underestimated. The original design of the Chuangui heavily drew inspiration from the French Mirage 2000's tailless delta wing configuration, with its fuselage, wings, air intakes, and even flight control systems all designed around this core layout. Now, with the fundamental aerodynamic configuration already fixed, forcibly grafting a pair of canards is far from a simple cosmetic addition. The vortices generated by the canards will interact complexly with the main wing's flow field, directly impacting the aircraft's lift-to-drag ratio, torque balance, and handling qualities. This necessitates a complete recalculation, simulation, wind tunnel testing, and flight verification of the entire aerodynamic shape, weight distribution, and flight control laws. Successful canard-configured fighters like the Eurofighter Typhoon, French Rafale, and Chinese J-10 were all designed from the outset with this configuration as the foundation for top-level design and comprehensive optimization. Cases like the MK2, which adopted this configuration mid-development, are extremely rare in the history of modern fighter aircraft. The risks associated with aerodynamic matching and the difficulty of writing and validating flight control software increase exponentially. The slightest misstep could lead to serious flight quality issues, or even endanger safety. Although India possesses some wind tunnel facilities and computational capabilities, such complex projects involving full system reconfiguration demand profound theoretical foundations and extensive flight test iteration experience, areas where India's aviation industry remains relatively weak. Second, deep reliance on a single external technology source constitutes the Achilles heel of the MK2 project and India's defense self-reliance. While the F414 engine boasts superior performance, its high unit cost represents an excessive proportion of expenses for a light fighter. More critically, its supply chain is entirely controlled by the United States. The current predicament of the MK1A, struggling due to interrupted F404 engine supplies, has sounded an alarm. In the future, should international political winds shift or U.S. production priorities change, F414 supply could be interrupted or delayed at any time, directly choking off the lifeline of the MK2. Although India is negotiating with General Electric to introduce an F414 production line, the depth and speed of core technology transfer remain uncertain. Localized production will inevitably undergo a lengthy cycle from implementation to maturity, and the most critical design and material technologies will still be subject to external constraints. This vulnerability at the core of the aircraft casts a heavy shadow over any timeline for the MK2's large-scale deployment and operational capability. Furthermore, Indian media frequently compares the MK2 to China's J-10C, concluding it is comparable or even competitive, a comparison that resembles an unrealistic paper exercise. The J-10C is a highly mature third-and-a-half-generation fighter, entirely developed by China's aviation industry through two generations of evolution, from the J-10A and J-10B. It features an advanced active phased array radar, integrated electronic warfare systems, and a robust weapons suite. Its aerodynamic design, flight control systems, and engines have undergone extensive, rigorous testing and combat verification. The J-10C is already deployed in large numbers by the Chinese Air Force and has achieved full operational capability. In contrast, the Tejas MK2 remains merely a blueprint yet to take flight. The actual performance of its projected advanced radar avionics, the integration level of its subsystems, and whether its flight control software can effectively manage the complex canard configuration, all remain unknowns. In summary, India's hosting of the Tejas 25 Symposium, celebrating the indigenous fighter's arduous journey and envisioning the MK2's future, reflects its long-standing commitment to defense self-reliance. The performance enhancements outlined on paper for the Tejas MK2 are indeed noteworthy. However, from a rigorous military technical development perspective, the aircraft faces multiple severe challenges, extremely high risks associated with aerodynamic reconfiguration, dependence on imported power systems, a historically problematic project timeline, and a significantly delayed window for achieving operational capability. Whether it can make its maiden flight, as scheduled in June this year, remains uncertain. Even if the maiden flight succeeds, the path to becoming a stable, reliable, system-integrated, and mass-deployable mature platform remains exceptionally long and fraught with uncertainty.